This is Our Thoughts on This, a semi-freeform podcast where we share our thoughts and opinions on the stuff we like. We certainly don't agree on everything, but we tend to enjoy the same things. So tune in, listen along, and make up your own thoughts along with us. I'm Alex.
I'm Jason.
It's Ali.
Hi, I'm Trukari, and this week we're going to be talking about Across the Spider-Verse and maybe a few other things, but mainly Across the Spider-Verse. And yeah.
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 So
That should definitely be a thing we do every week.
We all say yeah.
Yeah, I guess I can give just like a quick so just start off with like my thoughts or just like
Yeah.
generally like what.
Yeah.
Okay. Dope. Okay. So I'm gonna start. I really liked Across the Spider-Verse. I think this movie was excellent. I think it's probably one of the best animated movies to come out in a few years, probably since Into the Spider-Verse. I think there's so much that this movie does well, and I think like there's only like a few things where I'm like that's not as good as Into the Spider-Verse, but still like it's still like amazing, and I think everything that happens in this movie is just like one step above where it needs to be usually. You know what I'm saying? Like when me and Ollie were talking about this the other day, but I didn't feel like it didn't feel like 2 hours at the end of it. When the cliffhanger came and, they were like part two, I didn't feel like I had been there for 2 hours. I felt like I'd been there for like 30 minutes or something, just like
Oh,
watching
really? I had an almost exact opposite experience than you. In the theater, I'm sitting there and I'm like, okay, a lot of stuff is happening, and then more stuff just keeps happening, and more stuff. Actually, this is a spoiler warning for anybody listening. We are going to tell you everything about this movie. We're sitting there and more stuff keeps happening and more stuff, and they keep piling it on, and I realized, oh crap, this is the cliffhanger. And then as soon as it happened, I was like, yep, that's it.
That I don't know, man. I feel like I can definitely see how it could be a lot, but I think like I don't know. I just think all of it just to me it just all added to the experience. Like it just because like it just like it is. I think the concept in and of itself is a lot. You know what I'm saying? So I just really I don't know. I think it all just like worked for me, but I don't know what you guys think.
I think that a lot of the movie was very good, and I will agree that this was a good movie. It was a great movie, even. It just wasn't perfect. And I think that we're going to hear from a lot of you today and a lot of people in the media that say that this movie was practically perfect, and I don't think it was. I think that the cliffhanger was purposefully built up for the fact of having a cliffhanger, and it had no actual service to the story. That's my own opinion. I think that it was too much added on at the very end just to have the biggest dramatic impact possible on the audience when that cliffhanger ended, just to bring you in and get you excited for the next movie. Coming from watching Fast 10 like the same day, like earlier that morning, that also ended on a cliffhanger, except for me, that cliffhanger started wrapping up things, except it wrapped up some storylines and brought every character together before it brought the big cliffhanger. And I liked that a lot better than Spider-Verse, because Spider-Verse, everyone started together-ish, but at the end, they were so far apart, you're like, there's got to be a 3-hour movie to try to explain all of this stuff they just added on to bring them together before they can even tackle the actual like motivation of the story, like Spot. Until they can get to him, there's so much that needs to happen for them to come back together.
Would you have rather them have introduced alternate Miles in the third movie or maybe Beyond the Spider-Verse?
It depends on how big his part is in the third movie, but if his part is just to show Miles the universe where he isn't supposed to be Spider-Man, or show Miles the universe where he was supposed to be Spider-Man. Sorry, because I believe it's alluded to that in the universe in universe 42, where the spider comes from, that it was originally supposed to bite Miles in that universe, but he was never bit, so he became the Prowler. I believe that's what it's alluding to. And
That's
so,
exactly what it's saying.
Yeah, that's
yeah.
it.
And so, if it's just to show him that, they don't need it.
I kind of disagree with that because I mean, as we know, they made both movies at the same time. Um, so I feel like what we're gonna realize come March is that they, this cliffhanger is quite literally the middle of the story
Yeah,
because they had to cut it somewhere. Would I have loved to be in the theater for a 5 hour and 30 minute movie? Yes,
Absolutely.
but I don't think
I
most people would. You know,
I was walking out thinking I could sit for another hour and a half, 2 hours with no problems.
facts, facts.
yeah,
Like
no, I agree. I agree. That's definitely something that I wouldn't have minded sitting in the theater for that much longer. I just think when comparing the cliffhanger to a like the almost in my opinion the gold standard for cliffhangers, which is the Lord of the Rings, the Two Towers, right? That ends perfectly. All of the characters are together. They're in the castle. It's waiting for the five armies to come and the big fight to happen. And that is the perfect cliffhanger. They're together. There's one final enemy in mind. However, it's a huge enemy that a lot of work's going to have to go into defeat. However, they're together, they're united, you're looking forward to something. I think this cliffhanger left too much unanswered.
I mean, ultimately, though, to your point, I think they are all together because they're all Spider-Man. So Miguel, Ben Riley, Spider-Woman, Miles, Gwen, like Peter B, the rest of the crew that she's assembled, they're all in Earth 42. They're all together. And so I think like I feel like alternate Miles and I think I assume he will be just the subplot to get to Spot, but I think to your point, they are all together in that universe. They are all coming together to fight a bigger threat. You know, I assume like I know Miguel is very antagonistic in this movie, but he still is Spider-Man. So my assumption is he will come around. Like he won't stay completely antagonistic towards Miles. Like same as Peter B in Into the Spider-Verse, where it's like he doesn't really see Miles as being ready, so, but Miles has to kind of convince him. So like I do I do feel like they're all together. I do feel that they're all preparing to fight the big threat, you know, because I don't think alternate Miles is that big threat. Spot is, and they're all coming together to fight that. So that's what I think it is.
But the
I
big
mean, not
threat
only
is
that,
it. I
they
think the
literally
things that are
alluded to it
unanswered right now.
because in the scene where Miles and Spot, like I want to say they could kind of see inside each other's head. It alludes to the fact that Spot kills a bunch of spider people.
Mm.
So I feel like
Hmm.
gosh, I can't remember the exact point, but I feel like it's definitely going to become the story of the Spot keeps becoming stronger and stronger. Everybody teams up to fight the Spot. Spot's defeated, so then it becomes the final showdown between Miles and Miguel with help from Miles 42. That's what we call him. His official
Mm.
name is Miles 42.
42 bitches, baby.
Yeah, Miles
But
Morales.
exactly. The scene with his mom, probably awesome scenes, but the scene with his mom is like some of the best character work I've seen in a movie. Not like I won't say in a long time because obviously there's still good movies, but I think just it just stood out. Like that scene is so special for anyone who's had like it's like not even like significant troubles, but just like if you've had like hard times with like your family, like that scene is just so like amazing because like I feel like that's something we all want to say to the people we love. Just like be safe and to be careful as you grow. And yeah, that scene is probably my favorite out of the entire movie because it's just the character work, the dynamics between him and his mom, and even him and his dad are explored in that scene, and him and Gwen. It's just so much stuff is explored within that conversation with his mother, and it's just a beautiful scene. Music, it just made me cry. Daniel Pemberton once again did an amazing job. The Metro Boomin soundtrack was fine. It wasn't as good as the original one, but that's
Metro
whatever.
Boomin make it boom.
Yeah.
I also feel like they definitely didn't like I don't know. It's not like they didn't like emphasize it as much, but I'm gonna say they didn't emphasize Metro Boomin's track for this movie as much as they did Post Malone's.
They did not. Yeah, it didn't play like there. You can like there's obviously songs in the
Yeah,
movie, but like they just like I don't know. It just doesn't play as big of a because I don't because like I think a lot of it stems to how Sony was not expecting Into the Spider Verse to be as big as it. When Into the Spider Verse didn't make a crazy amount of money. Like I think I saw something where it made like less than like 20 million. I want to say, whereas like the process made like 130 something in its opening weekend. But I think they were just doing like they just said, yeah, let's just do this cool ass shit, man. But with this, it's like, okay, now we have expectations, and like now that they didn't exceed them in some ways, I just think they're like this. And the album is one of the ways I felt short, where like the music, at least the soundtrack, didn't play as big of a role as I would have liked. Like, there's no "What's Up Danger" for this movie. You know, there's no like song that really says, okay, this is a Spider-Man soundtrack. You know what I'm saying?
Well,
So
that's because Metro Boomin makes the milk toast equivalent of rap music, and everybody can hate on me for that. But he really does. Like like Metro Boomin makes music that would be playing in the radio in 2005. Like that's what his music is.
oh my
No,
god,
you know what? Fact, all disrespect intended.
right?
Oh,
No, Heroes of the
Metro Boomin, I'm sorry if I hurt your feelings. I apologize. But
Oh yeah, but I do I think I don't know. I think like I was and once again I was telling Ali about this, but like I feel like the artist that they chose, like they had some big names for Into the Spider Verse the soundtrack, like Nicki Minaj and Lil Wayne, and I guess Denzel Curry, but even then he's not like as big as those other two. But
yeah.
this one it was full of big artists who I don't think were trying to like necessarily capture the theme of the movie, whereas like
yeah,
you
like
know
why is Quayle
Amiri.
Ray here?
They were trying to make a hit song. They
Exactly.
didn't care about how it fit in the movie.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
No, I
I
agree.
think
I mean,
like
do you
for
think Sunflower captured the theme of the movie?
I think Sunflower was a promotional tool, but I think it served its purpose. When placed inside the context of Into the Spider Verse, I think it does a good job.
I think I think the feel of the music is what was really most important to them when they were making Across the Spider Verse.
Yeah,
Because
I
I'm not
agree.
gonna lie to you, the music like I've listened to the soundtrack separately,
Yeah,
and it's really emotional.
yeah,
Despite I mean, like it's Lil Wayne and Quayle Ray and all these other people, but it still has this emotional tenor to it, which I really
yeah.
like.
Like
And
Hummingbird is really, I think it captured Hummingbird. The closing song with ASAP Rocky, yeah, like
yeah,
those songs really carry emotion.
and the music, I feel like because the main difference between this movie and the last one is in Into the Spider Verse, music is very inherent to who Miles Morales is. So, right,
Yeah,
like
yeah,
the culture of music is very important, and I feel like because this movie, while Miles is still the main character,
yeah.
I'm not
It's
gonna
not
lie
about.
to you,
It can mean
I
more.
feel like Gwen was more the main character of this movie than Miles,
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
and
there's nothing wrong with that.
I feel like that's why the music takes
Presence,
less of precedence. Yeah.
yeah.
How do y'all feel about this? I've been seeing this pop up on TikTok that
You're on TikTok.
Gwen's yeah, I'm on TikTok. Everybody come follow me on TikTok. Don't do that. Um
You make a lot of good
that
TikToks.
yeah,
You do all the dances.
my one TikTok of me twerking in a monkey
Oh wow,
costume.
that's
Yeah.
fun.
Um but the idea that Gwen Stacy's story in this movie is kind of analogous to like a trans story. I've kind of
Well,
seen this popping
I
up.
mean, yeah. I mean, the trans flag does appear a lot in her universe.
Yeah,
And the colors too. Lots of the blues
yeah.
and pink.
I mean, that's also like how her world looks. Not that it's bad. That's also how her world looks in the comic books. So just to add,
Yeah.
I will
But
say
Mm.
like, oh yeah, you can.
oh, I was gonna say I just kind of find that very interesting because I kind of I don't think what the writers are saying is like Gwen Stacy's trans, but I
Yeah,
feel like what they're saying is that her experience is kind of similar.
Yeah.
and
I
her
mean,
coming out as Spider-Man is like coming out as trans to your parents. So sorry,
yeah,
I'll
yeah.
let you go. Ahead.
I can for sure see that because like I haven't seen that, but I've never really taken the time to thought about it. And like I feel like like whether or not like if they came out and said she's not trans or she is, like I don't think it really matters that much. But I do think like it fits the whole theme of like anybody can be Spider-Man. Like it doesn't matter. Like anybody can do it. You know what I'm saying? So like whether or not like she is isn't, like I think it all just ties back together. It's like woven into the theme of you can be Spider-Man. You know what I'm saying? So yeah.
Yeah. Like at first, I
But
was thinking
I
I was
think
like,
is specifically in Gwen's story, they use the analogy of Spider-Man like keeping his identity secret in place of being trans, and I think that's a great use of storytelling.
Yeah.
yeah,
It's not the fact that like I can understand what you're saying where they're saying like anybody can be Spider-Man, but I think that they're relating an otherworldly event that someone might not necessarily understand, or like
Yeah.
someone might. It's not that they don't understand it, it's that someone doesn't really think about it in the sense of how it does relate to actual people in our world. I think that's a great use of storytelling through Gwen in this movie. And like I said, it's a great movie. There's a lot of really good stuff in it.
Yeah. Absolutely.
yeah. Ollie, what are your thoughts, kind of, on that?
I didn't really notice that while watching the movie. I'm like looking back now, I can definitely see it like how like her telling her dad or her dad finding out that she's Spider-Woman and then running away. I feel like I've heard that story with like people in the LGBT community like coming out to their parents and their parents not accepting them and they like run away, you know?
Right. Yeah.
But
No, go ahead.
yeah. Like I'm glad she was able to come back. Like when she did get like forced back,
Right.
her dad accepted her,
Right. That was what I was going to say.
you
Yeah,
know?
it was nice to see a positive message in that sense of
Yeah.
it takes time, it takes people time to come to terms with change. However,
Mhm.
it's once they do come to terms with the change, they're accepting. And I think that's the message of what Gwen's story was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really like that, and um, man, there's so much going on in this movie that just makes me think. Like, I kind of the best way to describe it is I kind of feel like there's almost too much movie in this. Like, it's yeah, I know it's supposed to be a trilogy, but it should almost be a quadrilogy kind of type thing going on because I don't know about y'all, but did you guys feel like the movie ended three separate times? And then it just kept going, kind of like Alex was saying earlier. I kind of felt like when they were having the fight between Miles and Miguel on the train. Honestly, I thought the movie was gonna end right there,
Mm.
and then it kept
Mhm.
going. And then he shows up in his own universe, or he shows up in Earth 42. I'm thinking, okay, cliffhanger. It's gonna end right here, and then it keeps going, and then it finally
Right.
ends. And I'm like,
Yeah.
I really like it. I'm glad that they did that, but it almost felt kind of like too long.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm saying it's too much. I'm saying the last 20 to 30 minutes was too much. They had a really, really solid movie going into like the first 2 hours. And then when it came time to end the story, they just kept adding more on instead of ending it.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Mm.
Yeah, I agree with that too. I f- uh, man, I don't know. I'm of two minds. I'm like, it went on too long, but I don't want it to end.
Yeah.
I don't want it to end.
I it, like I think it's a valid critic. Like I can see it because I do think like if maybe they had just like a way they could have changed it, and tell me if this would have like appeased you, Alex. But
Okay.
if they had just like if they had just shown Miles going to Earth 42, right, and then learning his dad was dead, meeting his uncle, and we don't see like Earth 42 Miles, but we do just see like Gwen assembling her team to come help Miles. Would that have? Do you think that would have been better, or still like just the entire Earth 42 thing just too much?
Um, I I don't think that your rewrite is the way I would have taken it,
Mm.
but I do see what you're saying. Um, I would have gone more in the sense of he gets to Earth 42, he sees that without becoming he sees that if he wasn't Spider-Man, he would be the Prowler, and Gwen assembles the team to go find him. Right? I think that's the way I would do it. I don't think they needed the whole point of him getting captured by the Prowler and all that. I think that was too much added on there just for the reveal at the end, which I knew was coming anyway. Like I was telling you after we saw it, as soon as he realized he was in the wrong universe, I was like, oh shit, he's the Prowler. Like that was the first thing that came to mind, and that's what. And as soon as like the mask came off, I was like, this isn't a reveal. I knew it.
Mm. I guess that's true.
But
I do think that might also be like a perspective thing because I did not catch it when they said he was Miles. I was like, oh my god, it's Miles. So maybe
well, and I was also gonna say to the fact that um I just for to you, Alex, is that I feel like you're just a much more perceptive moviegoer because I can definitely tell you in the theater I was in, nobody saw that coming because everybody was just like, oh man, like everybody. I saw it coming because I was like, the minute they said he was Uncle Aaron was alive, I'm like, oh yeah, he's in the wrong universe. And if Uncle
also
Aaron is out here
great
at
too.
Rio's house, he's in the Prowler. So
See, I thought Aaron was still the Prowler as soon as he like even when we realized Aaron was still alive, I thought he was still the Prowler. As soon as they got onto the roof and Miles got knocked out by the Prowler, I was like, oh, it's Miles.
yeah,
Yeah.
And then they had the whole sequence of Aaron like putting on the Prowler glove and spinning him on the bag, like very like reminiscent of the scene that Miles did to
Peter.
Peter B. Parker in the first one. Except as soon as the reveal came along that he wasn't the Prowler, I was just sitting there like, okay.
Yeah. I think the thing that kind of like prevented not I don't want to say prevented it, the thing that kind of like not like the thing that kind of stopped me from being like, oh, Miles is the Prowler, because like I think we talked about this out, but the lighting, how like, and they kind of been showing this stuff on social media where like Miles's colors once he meets Chris Pine Peter Parker, it goes from purple and green to red to blue, and
Right.
then there was like this scene where the Prowler is washed in red and blue a little bit.
Yeah.
So I was just like, oh, maybe like Aaron was supposed to be Spider-Man in this universe, and like he's like just being cautious because the world sucks, you know. But yeah, I don't know, man. Like I think it's definitely a valid criticism. I think like of yeah, I think there's a valid criticism. Say my 10-year-old brother was super surprised. So
Right.
for whatever that
Right.
means.
And I also need to understand that this movie is not meant for me. I am not their target audience. I mean, I am part of the target audience, but I'm not the target audience. Your 10-year-old brother is the target audience.
That's true.
yeah, um, yeah. I mean, yeah, this movie is definitely meant more for children. Um, I
Okay. This
well,
this I think this might lead into our next conversation about like CGI versus animation, but because I don't think this is any more of a kids film than an MCU movie is, or like the Avengers, or like
Right.
I think it
Right.
can be for kids,
But
but I think like
if you think about the target audience of an MCU film, it's not us anymore. It's PG-13. It's for people that are teenagers, and we're in our 20s. We are aged out of the target audience of the MCU, which is why I think Jason doesn't enjoy the MCU as much anymore.
I mean I think
it's
MCU
just
has
a
been
lot
done
more
for
than
a
that.
while, but
I know, we'll get into that. We'll get into that. But I
I
think
hate
that one of the
MCU.
underlying
Yeah,
causes, I think one of the underlying causes is as you mature and it doesn't, you start to think less of it.
I can
yeah.
see that.
No, that's
I
fine.
can see that
And
point.
so
And
this is just another film in the MCU that's not meant for us anymore. And we got to come to terms with that.
Yeah. So would you say that's a bonus for something like Into the Spider-Verse and Across the Spider-Verse, that it can still appeal to such a wide range of people, even who are like aged? Because I've seen like people who are like, oh, I'm in my 50s and this is like my favorite Spider-Man movie. So like, I know that's anecdotal, but still, like I've seen a lot of older people like, yeah, this is
No,
like
yeah,
considered.
I totally agree. I think there is a bonus to being for everybody. I
Yeah,
just don't think that a movie can, it, in general, or like not even in general, like a movie cannot be for everybody. It can
that's true.
appeal to something in every person, but it is not
Yeah,
made for every person. That's impossible. There has to
yeah,
be an audience for it.
yeah. I think that's true. And
Well, and also
yeah,
kind of what I think going into that is that I feel like why a lot of people like these specific movies more than those other ones. Because I don't remember sending this to y'all on Instagram that how these are the highest rated Spider-Man movies,
yeah,
and I'm not gonna lie, I enjoy these movies a lot. None of them are better than Spider-Man 2.
Yeah, I
None of
agree.
them are better than
I
Spider-Man,
agree.
even Spider-Man 1.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
No, I
and I
totally
think a
agree.
lot of that is just because these movies are they appeal to such a broad audience, and because of that, I feel like people like me and Alex who are kind of I don't want to say deeper into comics, but most people kind of it
you don't
kind
think
of
I'm deep in the
loses.
comic person? That kind of hurts my feelings.
Well, if you could let me finish, um, me, Alex, and Trakari, people like us who are deeper into comics.
When you say
Um,
finish, you mean restart.
yeah, man,
You
I
don't think
lost my train of thought now. You done broke me. Um, I feel like these kind of movies don't really appeal to us as much because I feel like for me, what I kind of value in a movie like Spider-Man 2 or even the original Iron Man is how true to the comics it is, right?
Mm,
And what I feel like this movie does is it can appeal to a broader audience because it builds its own wink and nod right here canon that is separate from everything else. It has no like you don't need to understand comics to get into these across the Spider Verse movies. Whereas I feel like if you're watching Iron Man 1 and if you have no idea who Iron Man is as a character and you watch Iron Man 1, the movie is immediately not going to be as interesting to you, right? Or even the X-Men movies, the original X-Men movies. The only reason I saw those movies growing up as a kid is because I liked the X-Men video games. I was like, oh, I like the comics and I'm going to go watch these movies. And I feel like if you're just some guy and you're to go see these movies, you're going to be like, he's got metal claws. This is stupid. This is dumb. But if you go watch something like Across the Spider Verse, that kind of has that does a lot of the world building within the movie itself,
yeah.
I feel like you definitely get a much better experience.
I like I do disagree with that because I think Miles is in a very specific situation that most comic book characters aren't in. In the comics, Miles and listen, I'm glad that Brian Michael Bendis introduced Miles, but as he was writing Miles, he didn't create much of an identity for Miles outside of being just kind of like
Like
Peter
Spider Man.
Parker. Yeah. So these movies, they were in a unique place where they kind of have gotten to establish Miles' personality. You know what I'm saying? Because like without Into the Spider Verse, I don't think we get the version of Miles we have in the PS4 Spider-Man or whatever we will get when they make the live action Miles Morales movie. So I think this movie was in a unique place where they couldn't just, and I think they followed the comic book in ways like obviously Ultimate Universe being its own thing, Miles just being separate, the only Spider-Man. But I think they were just in such a unique position where they kind of had to establish a character because Brian Michael Bendis kind of failed to do that for Miles. And a lot of writers since then have still kind of like without Into the Spider Verse, I don't think Miles would have much of a personality in the comics. I mean, he barely does right now, which is why they should definitely take more from. This is one of the only examples of like Marvel synergy that I would agree with because Miles there wasn't a lot to him before Into the Spider Verse. I think you know what I'm saying. So I do disagree with that because I just think the situation was so unique with Miles' character and his established story. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I believe. But yeah,
I think that having movies being even slightly different from the comics is a lot better. Like having those two
I
different
agree.
worlds. Especially because like with comics, a lot of people wouldn't even know where to start
Yeah.
reading, you know?
Well,
So
that's a big problem with comic books today. I agree with you.
And
and
propaganda.
I believe that like with like the bigger stories that like even if you don't read comics, you know about,
Yeah.
like that I think the movies should follow pretty closely with that. Um, just because like it's already something that works. It's something that like a lot of people have like I don't know, already imagined, so they have an idea of what they're like, expecting to see. But maybe those like smaller storylines could use some tweaking, you know?
No,
Well,
I totally agree. I think that superhero movies work best, or any sort of adapted movie works best when they stay close to the original source material. They keep the same characters, they keep the same situations, and uh, they they keep the characters' personalities the same. But if they change the story, because if you don't change the story, then someone who's already read that story from whatever source material is not going to enjoy it as much. I think that they're going to expect, just like Ali said, they're going to expect it to play out the way they see it in their head. Except if you give them something different, they have nothing to compare it to, and they have nothing to say, oh, that's not how I would have done it. You know? Yeah.
well, my main disagreement with you from that would be um manga and anime. For the most part, uh animes follow the manga extremely closely. The only one that I can really think of that deviates a whole lot that I know of is Dragon Ball, just because they were making Dragon Ball Super at the same time as they were writing the manga.
Yeah, I totally agree with that in the sense
And
of anime following very closely, especially when it comes to going on the same like story. However, if you think about the movies that are adapting like page for page the exact same story, I don't think those work as well unless you're talking about Zack Snyder, which is a different case.
well, I don't even. Well, I think Watchmen is a classic, and
Yeah.
it does change a lot of things. I think
Movie?
honestly, yeah, no, I think Watchmen is probably in my top five comic book movies.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
I mean, in Zack
I
Snyder's case, the way that it works is that he takes these. Each frame is panel for panel from the comics, and I think that's the only way that his movies work by taking it directly from them.
yeah, I like I'm a call me if y'all want to. I love I man, I'm gonna get hate for this.
Did you
I
cut
actually
out
like
for anybody
Zack.
else?
Oh, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
All right. I was gonna say
Can you
I
not,
like Zack
Trakari?
Snyder movies.
Trakari?
Hello?
Hello?
Oh, hi. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry about that.
No, you're good. You're good.
Um dang, I lost my train of thought. Oh yeah, no, I like Zack Snyder movies. Like I was a really big fan of Watchmen. I like Batman versus Superman. I think a lot of the criticism against that movie is valid, but I also think a lot of it is kind of like y'all are being way too hard on this movie for no reason.
I
Because,
think that we're getting a little off topic, and
but yeah,
Zack Snyder should be
yeah,
a topic for a future episode, and
but
we'll
but
even let's say for a future episode, let's talk about not only Zack Snyder but also top 5 favorite comic book movies. How's that sound?
yeah, that sounds good. But I was just kind of what I was getting on to that with that was that I feel like there is a place for comic accuracy in film, but I don't necessarily mean that it has to be extremely accurate and they don't change anything. I'm more thinking of when you have a storyline like Civil War, you should at least accurately portray the storyline of
Yeah.
Civil War.
No, yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm saying that
Yeah,
we don't want something that's directly pulled page for page from the comic books.
yeah. Well, I mean, I don't have to be like the MCU version of Civil War that we got was whack,
Bad. Terrible.
and I it was terrible. And what I'm more saying is, we can have differences, but the movie should still like. Oh man, how do I explain this in a way that makes sense? I don't
It
want
should
it to
still
be
like
extreme.
relate to the comics. Is that what you're trying to say?
Yeah, like it should at least have some similar
Oh, the history piece, I guess.
ideas. Like it should at least follow the kind of layout because he already laid out the movie for you. And then you come watch something like Endgame, which is his own complete original story, which I really like, versus something like
You like
um.
Endgame versus Infinity War?
Well, I think
Infinity War.
no, I think Infinity War is a better movie, but
Oh, okay.
that's the first one that came to my mind. Infinity War is a much better. Endgame is kind of a trash movie when I'm like being revisionist about it.
Yeah, of course.
Um, but it's not that. It's but yeah, back on topic. I feel like if you're gonna call something Captain America Civil War, there's already a comic book called Civil War, and the only element you take out of that is superhero registration. I think you're missing the point.
Oh, that is a perfect point. I want to clip that because as soon as we talk about Captain America name change, I'm throwing that back in your face.
Yeah,
Um,
I you
but
to throw that in my face.
I think in relation to Spider Verse though, I do think that can be. I don't think that's a rule necessarily because the Spider Verse comic book, that like that it's kind of crazy different. You know what I'm saying? Like I feel like the only real similarities are the fact that there are multiple Spider-Man from various realities, you know. But I think it
Uh,
still turns out like relatively, you know, I think it still uses like
It
I
uses
think it still
enough.
well,
yeah,
but I mean, y'all do know that the first Spider Verse was in the 1990s
Yes.
comic the show,
Yes. Yes.
and so like I'm completely cool with that.
yeah,
Um, take because what the main difference between Spider Verse and something like Civil War, Spider Verse is an idea and a concept where you
yeah,
can have multiple stories that revolve around the Spider Verse. We really have like one of
yeah.
my favorite Spider Man games is Edge of Time, which is about the Spider Verse, or not Edge of Time. Was the one we have that also has Spider Man Noir.
The Web of Shadows.
Um, no, not Web of Shadows. Is it Web of Shadows? It might be Web of Shadows. No, Web of Shadows is the one with Wolverine in it.
It's not
Um,
that's the Power Rangers game.
yeah, but and that's why I think the main difference is you can have like you can Spider Verse is a concept versus
A
Civil
specific
War, which is a specific story, and
yeah.
then you have something like Dark Phoenix, which has been adapted 3 times.
And
I think
terribly.
what is it each time? It's because they're missing the core of the
Yeah.
story
Yeah, all
that
the
makes
space.
Because
Dark Phoenix.
it was 3 times, right? It was in X-Men 3, right?
Yeah,
What was that?
and
Last
then
Stand?
Yeah,
And then it was in animation form, and then it was in X-Men Dark Phoenix.
yeah.
animated 97 is still the best version of the Dark Phoenix story that's been
Yeah, yeah,
adapted.
yeah. It's like
Easily.
the animated Mortal Kombat movies. They're the best version
Way
of the
better.
Mortal Kombat movies. Yeah.
Yeah. That Mortal
Okay.
Kombat movie reboot was so bad, dude. I was so angry watching that. Thank God HBO Max was brand new when that came out.
Are
Saved
you
me
not excited to
finally.
see Carl Urban as what is it, Johnny Cage?
He's not Johnny Cage. I don't know if you saw the trailer, but he's in the movie. I'm sorry,
Yeah,
I'm thinking of the game. Um,
I mean, I'm probably not gonna. I mean, I'm probably maybe gonna see it, but I don't really care.
yeah.
I mean, dude,
They
not to
could
get off
cast a
topic,
young Johnny Cage,
but
and I'd probably be like, whatever.
the original Mortal Kombat storyline and going into Mortal Kombat 9 is such a convoluted and retcon story, but also really good. And I wish they would have just like why can't the movies just be that? Why do they always have to change things?
Yeah.
And I don't
Why
even
the fuck
necessarily
is
mean like
it?
it has to be the games again. Just there's already a good story, just follow it.
Yeah.
So
Is there
back.
anything else we have to say about Spider Verse?
Yeah, that's what I was gonna go to.
Okay.
But the only thing I will say is that these movies mean so much to me. I think I've told you guys this before, but Into the Spider Verse is my favorite movie. Like, and I explained this to Ollie the other day. Like, I look at Across the Spider Verse and Into the Spider Verse how I look at like Flower Boy versus Call Me If You Get Lost. Like, Call Me If You Get Lost is better, but Flower Boy came out when I needed it, and that's how I feel about Into the Spider Verse. It came out when I needed it. You know, like I was like this. I think the first one came out when we were like in high school still, and like
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
I needed something to say it's okay to be you. Because not that there weren't superhero movies like that as a kid, but I feel like, and obviously Peter Parker is supposed to represent the everyman character, but I still am
He's
not
still a white
Peter
guy.
Parker. Yeah,
Basically, you know
but
that's just as simple as that.
yeah,
Yeah,
and Miles, he gave me that. He was like this, like I love this character so much, like, and I loved him when he introduced in the comic books, but like I said earlier, he didn't. There wasn't something more to him besides being smart and Spider-Man, and this gave me this character that was like me, and told me that the dream I've had since I was a kid of being Spider-Man is possible. And I think more than like how good it is thematically or analytically, I think just the notion that this movie has reached so many people and told them you can be you no matter what is beautiful. Because that's what I want to do. Like if I ever get the chance to make my own films, like that's just what I would like. Of course, I'd love to be the critically acclaimed $1 million director dude, but more than that, just being able to tell people you're fine as you are. And yeah, and these movies accomplish that goal far and away of tell like seeing my little brother smile at seeing like Miles swing, like that's like it makes
Yeah,
me want to
that's
cry
right.
because it's like beautiful, like because I didn't have like all I had was Blade.
Hey, don't hate on Blade now. Don't hate on Blade now.
I like Blade, but I'm not a vampire.
right,
Hey, we can change
So,
that.
yeah.
right. And I think as much as Into the Spider Verse was Miles' story, we've already touched on this, but Across the Spider Verse is Gwen's story. However, I do feel like for the message that it's trying to get across in the same way that it moves a message for Into the Spider Verse, it seems like they put less effort into it. It's
Yeah,
not the focus of the story.
yeah, and I definitely think this movie places the overall because once again, I do not think Sony was expecting Into the Spider Verse to become just the hit it was. So
Which doesn't make
I do
any
think
sense because it's such a
I
good
mean, I
idea.
understand. I mean, they were probably just like, "Oh, we have the rights to Spider-Man. Let's just make something." And
But
then
they set up the
that's what.
cliffhanger. I mean, everything that they set up in the cliffhanger is the second movie. It's not like they're not expecting anything to come from it. They knew what was going to
No,
happen next.
Well, I think it was more the idea that they knew it was gonna happen next, but they didn't expect it to become as popular as it did.
yeah, that's what
I
I'm
think it's
saying.
kind of,
Yeah, I agree.
yeah.
But yeah, ultimately, yeah. This movie just it means so much to me. And like I said, seeing like my little brother just see himself like that, like not to compare, but this movie gives me that feeling that I think Black Panther was supposed to get, that or people said Black Panther was going to give me. If that makes sense. But yeah,
Oh,
that's
I fully agree with that. I feel that way so much. I think Black Panther is like rest in peace, Chadwick Boseman. I think that movie's whack.
yeah. The second
Uh,
one's better.
I
Honestly,
don't even
and
like the
coming
It's
second
coming
one.
from an African, like I love the representation, right?
Yeah,
But it,
That's kind of all it has going for it. Like
yeah, that
honestly.
was pretty much it.
And
as a
and
white
like
man,
I could understand how important it was for kids to like, oh, there's a character that looks like me, who's
yeah,
black like me. I understand that,
yeah.
but
But
like
tragedy
the
is
whole
so
time I
much
watched that movie, I
better.
was like, Killmonger was right. I don't know what anybody is talking about. Killmonger was right. Like y'all over here isolationists, you had our people messed up, suffering because y'all didn't want to share y'all stuff. Like, nah, he was right.
Yeah,
like, like no disrespect, y'all, but
yeah. But into this,
Killmonger is not the villain of that story.
well, genocide's still bad, but
I mean,
oh,
well, hey, hey, we got to get our get back.
all
We
right
got to get our
now.
get back.
depends on who's writing the history.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Ain't that the truth? But yeah,
ain't
that's
genocide. It's just revenge, bro.
yeah.
It's a
I'm sure
rematch.
boys would agree with you. Yeah,
But no, that's the
that's,
thing.
that's yeah, just great movie. Love seeing my little brother smile at shit like that. So yeah, those are my final thoughts.
Yeah,
All right.
I agree. I agree. I've said everything that I think I can say about it.
Yeah,
It's a great movie. It is a great movie, and there's a lot of really great messages
yeah,
through it. I just don't think that it's better than Into the Spider Verse.
yeah. I can see that. Yeah, yeah. Into Spider Verse, made phenomenal, lovely.
Yeah. All right, Jason
But
Ali, any final thoughts?
wait, whatever.
Final. Yes, I did say Trey.
I just I think it's better. I think Into the Spider-Verse is better than Spider-Man 2. But whatever. You can keep going. It's not that big.
You're patently wrong.
Uh,
Because Spider-Man 2 is the best superhero movie to be ever made, in
I
my
mean,
humble opinion, which is always the correct opinion.
it's up there. It's up there. It's up there. But if you're asking me what movie, like the superhero movie that I think you should see if you want to know it, like if you want to be if you love superheroes and you just want to experience that, I'm saying Into the Spider-Verse. But that's just me. You know what I'm saying? You
I
can
would
keep going.
say X2.
X2.
No, I'm just joking. I'm joking. I'm not
Ew.
being serious for that. Yeah, that's a terrible. Actually, you know what? I'm not gonna lie. I kind of did like those movies as a kid, but
Yeah.
I think because I was a child.
I think
Not
they're
because-
fine. I think they're fine movies. I think they overuse CGI, and I don't think they can. They don't think they really understand what audiences wanted out of a superhero movie.
Yeah, I mean they were kind of the first. What?
Yeah, yeah, of course.
It was that and Fantastic Four,
Them and
which I
Daredevil.
also agree. Oh, and I think Daredevil, Ben Affleck Daredevil, is not that bad of a movie either. Like,
Oh, it's so bad.
It's still
It's so
overhated.
bad.
But it's not terrible.
yeah, it's not good, but it's not. It's just okay. It's
They introduce
okay.
Elektra, then they like kill her off
But yeah,
immediately.
I love Across the Spider Verse. I want to say I was in tears. Like Black Panther brought me to tears. But I was feeling that movie a lot. I felt very emotional watching that movie. But yeah, what are y'all thinking about what is it with this new Captain America movie? What are y'all feeling on that?
Like in general or just the title? Title
The
change.
title change.
Just title change in general. What are y'all feelings?
Title
on
change
this
is
new-
stupid. The title
don't-
change is so stupid.
This movie.
Why would they name it after a already established piece of media if they're not going to reference it? Very, very close to what you were saying about Civil War is that why the hell are they going to name it Brave New World? I can't see how it's going to relate to the piece of fiction Brave New World. Like, what is he going to do?
Isn't going to relate to the fiction of Brave New World at all.
Yeah,
But
so what is
I
the point
believe
of naming it after
how-
that? It would be
how
like,
many people-
Title.
how
I don't
many
think
people do you
it's
think-
simply named after what you're thinking. it's named
Yeah,
after.
I don't think. How many people do you think know the book Brave New World? I feel like a lot more people, when they hear New World Order, think of Nazis, with anything to do.
right, and I think that's fine, especially if he's going to be fighting Nazis or
Yeah.
fighting a New World Order. However, how is he going to fight a Brave New World? What does that even mean?
Well,
That
I
makes
don't- I
no
don't
sense.
I think in reference to the Brave New World is the after effects of Thanos, which you kind of started with Falcon and the Winter Soldier, but they kind of didn't really finish exploring that.
Mm.
Ooh, I said, excuse me.
Isn't
Sorry.
Thunderbolt Ross like the president now? And
I have no idea. I have no idea.
Who's the president?
Thunderbolt
Thunderbolt Ross?
Harrison Ford's character.
Aren't we going to see him
I don't
in
know.
Secret Invasion?
I don't know.
I-
We will know by what is it? The end of 2 weeks from now.
2026, baby. We'll know.
Well, it's like 2 days, isn't it? I thought it was like Monday it came out. I don't know.
I don't know. I honestly care so little for anything in the MCU.
Yeah, I don't care about this movie at all. I don't like. I liked Falcon the Winter Soldier. As soon as I saw they changed his costume, I was like, well, I don't care.
Yeah.
It's not even just that. It's that the story of Secret Invasion is so important. The fact it's being relegated to a 6-episode miniseries is just a terrible. That is an Avengers level story, and the fact it's not being handled like an Avengers level story is I can
Yeah.
already go into this and say this is going to be bad.
Yeah.
Whether they
it-
intend for it to be or not is
Yeah.
is-
Well, back to Captain America. I don't care that they changed the name. I care what they changed the name to, because what they changed the name to is so stupid. It's like they could have named it anything else. And you know how much, like, how easy it would be to differentiate it? They could have called it Captain America, A Brave New World. But instead, they decided to call it Brave New World, directly after something that has already been published under the same name. It's like if they decided to call the next Iron Man movie Iron Man 4, Harry Potter. Like, what is the point?
I just kind of think that goes back into which one is the more popular franchise. Like I said, I don't think anybody knows what a Brave New World is, but I think a lot of people have such a negative connotation with New World Order, especially in current media.
Yeah.
right now.
Mm.
I guess we'll just have to wait and see when more info comes out about it as to what it actually means when it says Brave New World.
Yeah.
And they even say, what are you gonna be about? Like, what am I
He's
like?
supposed to be
I don't think
fighting the
I don't think we
leader.
know
I think
anything.
The
I
rumors are
think
he's supposed to be fighting the leader, and it's supposed to
Yeah.
be like
The
and
leader
it's supposed to
sucks.
lead into a
The
World
leader
War
does
Hulk.
suck, yeah.
The leader is not. Why is the leader even a bad guy? Just beat the shit out of him.
Quite
The-
literally. Out of
the-
hand.
yeah, like an Incredible Hulk villain.
Well, I think the whole idea is the Incredible Hulk is all brawn and he's all brain. You know.
Yeah,
True.
until they make. But no, the Hulk is smart now. The Hulk being smart is so. It always sucks. They should stop trying to make the Hulk smart. But whatever.
Well,
Hey,
they
you know
gave him his
what?
arm back. They should have just taken away the intelligence also.
Exactly. Stop making Hulk smart. Nobody.
Why? Yeah. Why did he get his arm back? You know what? My biggest issue with the MCU is right now. This is a completely different conversation, but it feels like there's no purpose and character arcs don't matter.
Now, especially that Jonathan Majors pretty much out as Kang. What are they going to do?
Oh, they confirmed.
Not confirmed, but I mean, dropped by his publicist. He's
Yeah.
not. He dropped from a movie that he had already signed on to. Like, I'm pretty sure he's out.
Let me see what's
Yeah.
going on with them. Hold on.
Let us know,
'Cause
Ollie.
I haven't heard anything.
Anyway,
Ollie, you know who Ike Turner is? They said he was out here. He was out here fighting.
The MCU, like, I don't know, like I said, I think it's been bad for a super long time. Like, I don't.
Yeah.
People are saying it got bad. I think it's been bad for a while. Like, after
I
the
think-
first Avengers movie type shit. Like, like
Really?
I wouldn't go that far back.
I would not go that
would-
far back. I'd go after Endgame. I'd say Spider-Man Far From Home.
I'd say
definitely-
I'd say Endgame exposed it. I'd say it really started. I want to say with Ragnarok.
really,
even-
No.
Yeah, I would say
No.
with
Ragnarok
I
is
don't like
by far one
Ragnarok.
of the best movies that the
Oh,
MCU's
yeah.
made.
I don't like
mean,
Ragnarok.
World was pretty bad. Age of Ultron wasn't that good.
I mean, Age of Ultron was not good, but they definitely corrected it through Civil War and Ragnarok and Infinity War and all that.
Like, I hate
See,
when people.
Ragnarok-
Oh, sorry.
I was gonna say Ragnarok is when they started being too jokey. It felt like
I
the
think that's just
seriousness of it was gone. And that's not to say because the Avengers movies and Iron Man movies they had jokes, but like
Yeah.
Thor in that third movie, and we saw how bad it got in Love and Thunder, y'all, where
Yeah.
everything was a joke. There was not a serious moment at all. It was always undercutting.
Well, that
itself.
doesn't. That's not against Ragnarok. How can you say that the movie after Ragnarok made Ragnarok
Well, I
bad?
think it started. I first noticed it in Ragnarok because I don't like Ragnarok because of that. Because
I
it was
think
always a
like-
joke. It was undercutting itself with humor.
But hasn't that been a criticism of Marvel for like a super long time though? Like that they undercut their series. Like that's been a criticism that they've had for like a pretty long time. Like that they're.
Oh
they
yeah,
use
yeah,
series-
for sure.
You can also say like they do that because these are children's movies, you know.
Mm,
They
Right.
may not like understand the more
complexities.
serious implications of like everything. So
Well, I feel like
and that's not
Oh, sorry. Go ahead. I cut you off.
and that's not gonna like keep their attention, you know.
Yeah. I want a Marvel movie that's just like a UN meeting about what to, like international tragedies. Guys, they broke the treaty.
They tried to give us that in Black Panther and did not
Yeah.
accomplish it very well.
Yeah.
Guys, they dropped a city from the sky. Why do
Guys.
we have superheroes? They dropped a city from the sky.
Oh my.
Why are they here?
It wasn't. Well, I was gonna say it wasn't their fault, but Tony made Ultron, so.
Yeah, it's exclusively their fault.
It's 100% their fault. Ain't none of that would have happened. None of that would have happened. And if superheroes didn't exist, the world would be in a much better place. I ain't gonna lie.
No, if Iron Man didn't exist, if Iron Man just wasn't there, I think Earth would be far better off.
Look, I'm not gonna lie. Iron Man did start it. Like everything that went wrong in those movies is because of Iron Man.
Absolutely, absolutely. But I was gonna say, I hate how people are like, "Oh man, Age of Ultron is so good. Look at how much stuff got paid off." That was all retroactive. They didn't plan any of that. They did
Yeah,
it because Ultron sucked.
Yeah, no, I
no.
agree. I agree.
You guys, people tend to forget that we were supposed to get another Avengers movie before Infinity War and Endgame.
Oh
Like that
geez.
was on the docket, and then they all
Yeah.
got changed around because we were supposed to get. Let me see. Oh
Well,
my
we
gosh, I'm
basically got it in Civil War.
yeah.
Yeah.
Original. I want to see original MCU phase.
I don't know, man. I feel like the bright moments like Guardians of the Galaxy, Thor Ragnarok, Captain America, The Winter Soldier, I think. But other than that, like a lot of, I personally like the first Ant-Man movie a lot, but I know that's like a controversial. I don't know, say like a
No, the
hot
first
take, but
Ant-Man
that
movie was fine. It was just Ant-Man and the Wasp and then Quantum Mania that were terrible.
yeah, yeah. But those are the bright spots for me. Like before like Endgame, I guess. Other than that, a lot of and Infinity War. Infinity War was really good, I'll say. But like everything else has just been like whatever. Like
Iron Man
Spider-Man movies,
3,
I don't care
the
about.
best Iron Man
Like
movie.
I don't really care about most of it.
I mean, I feel like they ruined freaking they ruined Peter Parker.
Oh yeah, he's not Peter. He's barely Spider-Man.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's not. They could change his name from Peter Parker and make him a completely different character, and it would
Yeah.
fit much better.
Yeah. No,
Did you hear about how they're already bringing back Zendaya for Spider-Man 4?
Well, I heard that all got put on pause because of the writer and
Oh,
the actor strike
yeah.
now.
They were
I
talking. Me and Ollie talking about that. That shit would be so
yeah, I
stupid.
saw
Why
something
did I just
today
watch the
that
last
Tom
movie?
Holland had said that they're currently like mapping out
Hey,
the
you know what? I honestly would much rather them just kill off freaking Peter Parker and bring in Miles, and just do it right.
Yeah, I guess. It's just I don't know.
Holland has taken a break from acting like every year for the past 5 years.
I feel like I saw that somewhere where they want to do like at least like 3 trilogies with him or something like that.
Tom Holland. Tom Holland does not like what he does.
Tom Holland hates being Spider-Man. There's no way he does not hate playing Spider-Man.
No, because dude, I ain't gonna lie to you. Being in the MCU typecast you, like
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I think
like
a lot of
that.
other movies would be received a lot differently if he had never been in Spider-Man. But I
Mhm,
also don't think he may have gotten those if he wasn't Spider-Man. So I guess it's like a catch-22.
yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I think he does a great job as an actor. I think one of my favorite films is Cherry, which is done by the Russo brothers, starring Tom Holland. I think it's a great film. I just I don't think he's a great Spider-Man.
Yeah, absolutely not. He's
Yeah.
like, it's not his fault. Like I think he could have been a good. Like I think he has the ability. Like that scene in Civil War when he's first introduced, like he could have been Spider-Man, but then they were like,
Right.
let's have him not be Spider-Man.
Sure.
Let's have him be Spider-Man, but
Well,
younger.
Yeah.
I feel
That was
like a lot of
terrible.
that is blame on Sony. I think
Really?
half of that. Yeah, I think a lot of that. So, do you guys know who Avi Arad is?
I
Yes.
do. Yes, he ruined.
Yeah, he ruins everything he touches. He ruins like um
He won't bring back Spectacular Spider-Man.
yeah, like whatever he touches, he ruins, and he's kind of to blame for that. So
Well, I mean, he produced Across the Spider-Verse.
yeah, but he's also the guy who ruined the Spider-Man 3.
I
Yeah.
will
He was yeah, he was what he did to Spider-Man 3.
what he did.
What he
What
did.
he did.
What he did. Honestly,
Should
no
not be-
disrespect, worse than Hitler.
Whoa.
I
Whoa.
no disrespect.
No disrespect to who?
I don't know. You get to choose. But what he did to freaking Spider-Man 3. I don't know if y'all have ever seen the image of the original symbiote costume that was like
Yeah. That
oh
was
my God.
practical.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
That was great.
Whew.
Instead of doing Spider-Man, have you seen like the art, the like I guess like the storyboarding for the Vulture fight with Spider-Man and Spider-Man 4?
Yes. Yes.
Bro, man, I wish they
Yeah.
would have done it.
Yeah. No, I
They
agree.
basically did Spider-Man 1 again. They were like, yeah, let's just.
Dude,
Yeah.
Spider-Man 1 is such a good movie. Like
Yeah.
Spider-Man 1 and 2. And honestly, I'm glad Spider-Man 3 hate has kind of gone out the window. People realize that Spider-Man 3 isn't as bad as a movie as people make it out to see. But those
No, I
movies are
agree.
so good.
I agree. Yeah.
Speaking of terrible movies,
I think we
um,
are right at an hour. So, do we want to keep going, or do you want to wrap it up now?
I mean,
I,
we can keep talking, but just stop recording.
Okay.
well, I kind of want to talk about Black Beetle, or Black Beetle,
Blue Beetle.
What's his name?
All right. All right. We can do Blue Beetle real quickly. I'm not looking forward to it. I don't know what you guys
Neither
think.
am
Ellie?
I think DC just doesn't make good movies. And I just seeing the trailer, I'm not. Blue Beetle has always been one of my favorite characters, and I just don't want to watch it because I know they're gonna mess it up. And
Yeah.
They're gonna make
It already looks terrible. Like the
yeah,
writing and the just like the production design, it looks like a Disney Channel original movie.
exactly. Well, it was really supposed to be a TV show.
I know
wasn't
it looks like a made for streaming movie, and I think it would be
Yeah,
a great made for streaming movie. But the decision to make it a theatrical release was a terrible one.
Yeah, I do think they're trying to capture kind of the same thing, and that's why I want to talk about it a little bit, because I do think they're trying to capture the same thing they did with like they see people dealing with Spider-Verse, where it's like here's this character that represents a certain particular community that may not be represented all the time, which I do think is cool because I have seen a lot of Hispanic people who are super excited for it, but well, I'm also excited for it because I love Blue Beetle. I think I loved him in Batman: The Brave and Bold animated series, and I think Blue Beetle is just like a dope character, and I think I want to give it the benefit. I think I'm yeah, because I see all those things. Your criticisms make sense, but I don't know. Like I think I want to just have an open mind about it because like I like the actors playing Jaime. I think like I did
I
giggle
like
at some of
George
the
Lopez.
stuff. Yeah, always love Lopez. But yeah, I think like I like the suit. The suit looks awesome. I think the suit looks really
The suit does look
good.
great, especially because it's like mostly practical. It looks fantastic,
Yeah.
but the rest of the
I-
CGI looks bad.
Yeah.
And I think
I-
that the decision to make the suit practical and rely very little on CGI was a great choice.
Yeah. Yeah. I wish more movies would do that because like, but yeah, either way, like I'm gonna give it the benefit of the doubt because I do.
Yeah.
It looked like I don't think it'll be like the most game-changing super movie ever, but it looks like I'll have a good time, and I'm kind of excited for it. So yeah.
Yeah, like what really got me was in the trailer they did the Final Fantasy VII reference when he pulled out his freaking Buster Sword. And I've been playing lots of Final Fantasy VII as I get ready for Final Fantasy 16. So that was enough to sell me on the movie. I mean, I'm gonna go watch it. I'm not really interested into it as much outside of the context of how are they gonna pull this into James Gunn's DCEU.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
Which is like what I'm really
Hopefully it's
interested in.
standalone enough that anything that they do in this movie doesn't affect anything and they can just pull the character of Blue Beetle and put him somewhere else.
Yeah, that'd
Why
be cool.
is the authority getting a movie? Nobody cares.
Yeah. It's best when they make movies that have no consequences to anything else.
Nobody.
Kind of like Shazam 2.
Yeah, like Shazam 2. However, Shazam
Or
2
Black-
was terrible. I just watched it like a week ago. Oh god, so bad.
I'm
sorry.
sorry.
I'm not spending money on that. I'm waiting.
Well, it's
for
on
it to be
HBO Max.
HBO or something.
It's
Oh,
on
it
HBO
is.
Max. Yeah.
Oh,
Like no way.
I didn't even look it up.
It was like May 28th it came on.
Oh, well.
I don't know.
I never got a notification or anything about that.
Yeah, they're hiding it.
As they should. They should hide it. That movie is garbage.
What
Yeah.
other DC movies did James? I know The Authority, which who cares because they're all just like assholes.
Yeah.
But like,
It's just
I'm
his
excited for
Suicide
that.
Squad for DC.
yes, but they already got Suicide. Like, whatever.
I know.
The Authority is so like, the Authority is stupid because they're just like dickheads who
Yeah.
don't follow rules. They're stupid.
Yeah.
But I am excited for Swamp Thing. I feel like I kind of like the TV show they have for a little bit going. I think if they do it practical, that would be super dope. So I'm sure.
Yeah.
So I'm
You mean
excited.
that TV show that was announced and then canceled the day it came out?
That's right. There's one episode in existence.
Yeah. Fuck.
Um
He's such a cool show. character. Like he's not just like a monster dude. He's like a guy.
But he doesn't do anything. It's very hard to make make something completely focused around him because Swamp Thing himself does not do anything. People go to him for help, and he like with a wave of his hand will fix any problem. But how do you make a show about that?
Yeah, he always shows up in other people's stories, and that's
Yeah.
when he's useful.
Yeah.
If they made like a John Constantine Swamp Thing show, that'd be kind of dope. But they're not gonna do that. So
That's true. Yeah.
But
Anyway,
I'm not sure about
Authority,
Batman.
Superman Legacy, Batman Brave and the Bold, Green Lantern Corps is another one they're doing. I can't think of off the top of my head what else they got, but I mean,
Green Lantern's cursed.
Green
It's
Lantern is
impossible to make-
cursed. Yeah.
It's impossible to make a good Green Lantern movie.
Isn't it animated?
I
Green
think
Lantern?
it was live action.
Oh, was it?
I think,
Oh.
I think everything that was announced was supposed to be live action first.
No,
right?
Authority's animated, and there's one other one that's animated.
It's gonna be why? Who cares?
Honestly, I feel like being animated is probably gonna be better off. It allows you to do cooler stuff.
More violent, I suppose. Because that's literally all the authority. The authority is just the boys. That's it. They like who cares?
No, I agree. Yeah.
Oh my
The Authority
God.
is just the boys. I mean,
It is. It is, and that sucks. But yeah, that's exactly what it is.
I don't like the boys.
Sitting down and you're like planning a roadmap for what you want to do, and you're like, we gotta hit the authority. We gotta hit.
Well, I mean, it's him, and he's like, oh, I love Suicide Squad. I love Guardians of the Galaxy. I love making characters that people don't care about, stars. And then,
do you think that's true? Do you think he actually cares, or is it just like I have nothing better to do, and
I think he
nobody's gonna
cares.
do anything?
I think he cares.
Why else would you make a fucking authority movie?
Yeah.
Because I feel like he wants to make something low stakes, so if it sucks, he can be like, "Oh, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter."
No, I think he's got a lot mapped out. I think almost every move he's made is all planning towards something. But what is it? I don't know.
And like a shitty Infinite Crisis movie, which nobody wants. Why? Because
Yeah.
the crisis, every crisis besides the first one, stems from complete greed. Like that's it.
Yeah.
Everyone besides, because the first one is like, okay, maybe we should like condense our universe, but everything after that is, hey, we don't feel like trying to make sense of our universe anymore, so let's just start over.
Well,
No,
I
I
feel
agree.
the same way about Marvel. I feel like Marvel should just do a complete reboot. Just hey,
They
We're
did that with
rebooting-
people, and it was bad.
well, yeah, they tried that with the Ultimate Universe, but the Ultimate Universe, who was originally writing the Ultimate Universe? 'Cause that universe kind of just is terrible.
Well, I know Brian Michael Bendis started it with Ultimate Spider-Man, and then some other. I think
Who wrote Ultimate Avengers? Whoever wrote Ultimate Avengers, why is the Hulk raping people? Why was that a thing? Who came up with the idea that was a good idea?
Whoa, what?
Yeah, I do not read
Yes!
Marvel comics. This is new to me.
Yeah,
the whole-
dude.
pretty much everything outside of Spider-Man sucked and was just super dark, edgelord type shit. Like,
Ant-Man beat his wife viciously. Like, not even joking. He would just show up and just start duking her up in the middle. It'd be at the most random times, too. They'd be in the Avengers mansion, and then here comes Ant-Man, and he just start boxing her. What is going on?
Silver and Wanda were in an incestuous relationship, and then
Yeah.
Wanda died, and Magneto killed pretty much all the superheroes. And,
Yeah.
pretty sure that's how the Ultimate Universe kind of ended until Secret Wars.
Yeah, Ultimatum.
Yeah, Ultimatum. But I do kind of give the right. I forget his name, but his son had died like a year before, so he was probably just in a dark place. So I do like. I can give him a pass for that.
The Hulk is a cannibal.
Oh yeah.
Why? Why?
Yeah,
The only
that's
thing
that's weird.
Ultimate Universe is Spider-Man, but outside of that, like everything else is kind of whatever.
Yeah,
It's like freaking
no.
Marvel Max.
I agree.
Do you guys remember Marvel Max?
That
old
like-
comic line?
Was that with
That
the
was the-
Punisher and shit with Garth
Yeah,
Ennis?
it was the Punisher, and I think it was
The Moon
Daredevil.
Oh,
and some-
that's
Yeah,
Knight.
one of
That's Marvel Knights, I think.
yeah, Marvel Knights, and they're all part of the Punisher Max or the Max line of comics. I'll look it up. Are
I
we still
mean-
recording, or is this?
Yeah, we're still recording. You want to end it?
Wait, I want to
We can end it now.
yeah.
All right. So yeah, let's end the podcast. Thank you guys for listening. This was episode 1 of our thoughts on this. Today we focused primarily on Across the Spider-Verse. And tune in next week where we're definitely going to talk about The Flash, for that's coming out soon. And I think we're going to get to the topic of how much CGI is too much CGI, and what point does a live action movie basically become animation. Thank you guys for listening. Tune in next week. Bye bye.